The final push, the darkness pulled at him like a deep ocean. The human felt his body sinking, his fire fading. For a moment he thought it would be easier to let go, to fall into the cold and end the pain. But then he heard a voice, small and trembling. "Please, don't leave us." The girl's voice broke through the darkness. Her glowing eyes hovered in his fading vision. Her small hands clutched his, shaking but strong, beside her. The alien mother breathed weakly, alive but fragile. The guardians loomed in silence. Their eyes glowing faint, even the cave seemed to wait. Holding its frozen breath, the human forced his chest to rise. Air burned in his lungs like knives, but he pulled himself back. He would not let the darkness win, not while they still needed him. The ground trembled beneath them. The cave growled like a beast waking once more. The crystals pulsed brighter and faster. Shadows stretched across the walls, faces twisting and screaming. The guardians' voices filled the chamber again. "The trial is not finished. One last fire must be given," the girl gasped. Her eyes darted to the human. "They want more. They will not stop. They will test you until you break." Her voice trembled with fear. "But you cannot break, not now." The human pushed himself up, his arms heavy, his body numb. But his eyes burned with stubborn fire. He looked at the guardians. "Then I will not break," he growled. His voice echoed across the chamber. Stronger than his body, the crystals reacted. They flared like a storm of stars. Heat poured into the air, clashing with the freezing wind. The guardians staggered back. Their forms cracking louder, the cave screamed. Its voice thunder shaking every wall. The faces in the ice shrieked silently. The grave itself resisted. It did not want to be burned. The alien mother groaned, her eyes opening faintly. She whispered with a weak voice, "Stop, you will kill yourself." But the human shook his head. "I would rather burn out than watch you freeze." His words cut like fire through the cold. Even the guardians paused at the weight of them. The girl's tears streamed down her cheeks. She cried out, "You are not alone. I am with you." She pressed her small glowing hands to the crystals beside him. Her light merged with his fire. The chamber shook again. But this time the pulse was stronger, warmer, alive. The mother gasped. Her breathing steadied, her eyes clearing. She reached weakly for the girl. The girl grabbed her hand tightly, crying with joy. "She is coming back," she shouted. "She is alive." But the guardians roared, their voices heavy with anger. "No, the grave must feed. It cannot allow all three to leave." They raised their claws, stepping forward. The human stood tall, his body nearly broken, but his eyes blazed brighter than ever. "You will not take them," he roared. "Not while I stand." He stepped in front of the mother and child. The fire inside him burned like a star. The crystals blazed, flooding the chamber with light. The guardians staggered, their forms shattering piece by piece. The cave shrieked, its walls splitting. Chunks of ice fell, crashing like thunder, but the human did not stop. He pushed his fire outward, every drop of life he had. The girl screamed his name, her small hands pulling at him. "Please stop. You will die." But the human only looked at her, his lips cracked into the faintest smile. "If that is the cost, then so be it." The guardians crumbled, their bodies collapsing into shards. The cave howled, its faces twisted in agony. Light exploded across the chamber. Blinding, burning alive, the grave itself was breaking. The girl clung to her mother, shielding her eyes. When the light faded, the guardians were gone. The walls no longer screamed. The cave had fallen silent. The human lay on the ground, unmoving. Smoke rose faintly from his body. The fire dimmed, but not yet gone. The girl crawled to him, sobbing. "You saved her. You saved both of us." She pressed her forehead to his chest. Her glowing tears fell onto his skin, and the crystals answered with one final pulse. The grave itself bowing to the fire-bearer. Humans are special. The cave was silent. The echoes of the battle faded into the frozen walls. The guardians were gone, shattered into dust and shards of crystal. The endless screaming faces in the ice grew still. For the first time, the grave did not roar. It bowed in silence. The girl clutched the human's chest. Her glowing tears fell onto his skin. "Please don't go," she whispered. "You saved her, you saved me. You cannot leave now." Her small voice trembled. Her hands glowed brighter, as if her own spirit poured into him. The alien mother stirred. She rose weakly, her breaths deepening, her skin no longer pale, color returning to her cheeks. Her eyes opened slowly, and she looked at the human lying still. Her lips trembled. He gave me his fire, she whispered. Her voice was filled with awe and sorrow. No one of our kind could have done this. Only him. The crystals that lined the chamber pulsed faintly, their glow no longer cold but warm. The light spread over the human's body. It moved like flowing rivers. Sinking into his chest, the girl gasped. It is healing him, she cried. The grave has accepted him. The human groaned softly. His eyes opened, weak but alive. The girl's face lit with joy. She hugged him tightly, crying with relief. The alien mother knelt beside him. Her voice shook as she said, You should not have lived. The grave takes all who enter, but you changed it. The guardian's dust swirled on the air, their voices echoed faintly. The fire-bearer has proven himself, the grave will remember. The flame will not be forgotten. Then the dust settled, and all was still again. The human sat up slowly, his body weak but his fire burning inside. He looked at the girl and her mother. You are safe now, he whispered. The girl shook her head quickly. No, not just safe, she said. You gave us something no alien ever gave, hope. The alien mother reached for his hand. Her grip was soft, trembling. You gave warmth when there was only death. You risked everything for strangers, she bowed her head. To us you are not just human, you are fire itself. The girl looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Will you stay with us? She asked softly. Her voice carried both hope and fear. If you leave, they will forget. If you stay, they will see what humans truly are. The human hesitated. His mind turned to Earth, the world he left behind. But then he saw their faces, the fragile trust, the warmth that now burned in their hearts because of him. He smiled faintly. I will stay, he said. Not because I must, but because I choose to. Because humans are not just survivors. We are givers of fire. And no cold in the universe can take that away. The chamber pulsed once more. The grave itself seemed to bow in silence. The faces in the ice softened, no longer screaming. The girl laughed through her tears, her voice echoed with joy. My mom is alive, and you are alive. This is the first time the grave gave back life instead of taking it. The human stood slowly. His strength returning, he looked at the endless frozen walls, at the storm waiting outside, and for the first time, he did not feel alone. The girl took his hand. The mother leaned against him for support. Together they stepped toward the light of the exit, leaving behind a cave that would forever remember the fire-bearer. And so the legend began, of the human who gave his fire to the ice, and proved that humans are special, not because of power, not because of weapons, but because of the warmth inside them, a warmth that could save even those who once feared it. The cry for help, the storm was wild. Snow fell like knives from the black sky. The human explorer pulled his coat tighter and checked his scanner. It was supposed to be a simple mission, just another survey on a frozen planet. But this world felt wrong. The wind had voices. The ice cracked like it wanted to swallow him. He kept walking. His boots crunched against the endless white. His breath turned to smoke in the air. Every sound echoed too long. It felt like something unseen was watching him. He had walked for hours without a single living sign. No birds, no beasts, no aliens, only silence and storm. Then he heard it. A sound that cut through the storm. A cry, high, sharp, and full of fear. He stopped. Was it real or only the wind playing tricks? The cry came again. Please help. The human's heart jumped. Someone was out here. He moved fast toward the sound. The snow almost blinded him, but then he saw her. A small figure kneeling in the snow. A child, her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing like moons. She was not human, but her tears were real. The little alien girl looked up at him, her voice broke. My mom, she is dying, please help her. Her words cut through the storm like a blade. The human froze. Why would an alien child call out to a stranger? Why call for a human? Something was strange here. He knelt down. Where is your mother? He asked. The girl pointed with a shaking hand. Not far, she is cold. She cannot move. Her small body trembled, not from the storm, but from fear. The human studied her. Was it a trap? Or was she truly desperate? Her eyes begged him to believe. He had to decide, leave her in the storm, or follow her into danger. His mission told him to stay safe. But his heart told him to go. He sighed, all right. Take me to her. The girl's face lit with hope. She grabbed his hand, small and cold. Quick, we have no time. They ran together. Through the snow, through the howling storm. The wind screamed around them. The ground cracked under their feet. Shadows shifted in the blizzard. Something was following. The human kept glancing back. He thought he saw dark figures moving between the snow walls. But when he looked again, they were gone. The girl pulled his hand harder. Do not stop, or she will die. His legs burned. His breath came fast. He wanted to ask questions. Who was her mother? Why was she here? Why call a human? But there was no time. Every second the storm grew worse. The temperature dropped lower, even with his gear. The human felt the cold bite deep into his bones. At last the girl pointed ahead. There! She cried. Through the snow he saw a dark hole in the ice, a cave. The wind howled past the opening like a warning. The human's skin prickled. He felt eyes inside that darkness. Something waiting, something alive. The girl tugged at him. Please, hurry. My mom is inside. Her voice cracked with despair. The human stared at the cave. Every instinct told him to turn back, but he looked at the child. Her tears froze on her glowing skin. Her tiny hands shook, and in that moment he knew if he left, she would lose everything. He tightened his grip on her hand. All right, he said. Let's find your mother. They stepped into the cave, and the storm closed behind them like a giant mouth. The strange encounter. The cave was dark. Cold air pressed against the human's face. Sharper than knives, his light cut into the shadows, but the walls seemed to swallow it. The girl held his hand tight, pulling him forward. Her small voice whispered, This way, she is deeper inside. The human's boots slipped on smooth ice. Every step echoed too loud in the silent tunnel. He felt like the cave was listening. Like the walls themselves wanted him out, still he followed. The girl's glowing eyes lit part of the path, strange and haunting. Suddenly, the sound of dripping water filled the air, but it was wrong. Each drop hit the ground like a clock ticking down. The human slowed. He shined his light around. The cave wasn't empty. Shapes were carved into the walls. Not natural cracks, symbols, alien writing that pulsed faintly with blue light. He frowned. What is this place? He asked. The girl lowered her head. My people call it the ice grave, she said softly. Her words trembled like she was afraid to speak them. No one enters, no one but me. And now you. The human's heart pounded harder. Why bring him here? Why risk this place? He wanted to turn back. But the girl's hand shook with desperation. Please, my mom is just ahead. You must trust me. They kept moving. The tunnel twisted, narrow and endless. The human felt eyes watching from the dark cracks. Once, he swore he saw a figure move just beyond his light. A tall shape made of frost. When he aimed his light, it was gone. The girl didn't look back. She pulled him faster. Don't stop. If you stop, they will notice, she whispered. His blood turned cold. Who will notice? He asked. The girl didn't answer. Her silence was worse than words. At last, they reached a wide chamber. The ice glowed faintly with crystal veins. The air was heavy, hard to breathe. The human looked around. The cave's heart was alive. Strange frost creatures seemed frozen into the walls. Their faces twisted. He wasn't sure if they were statues or sleeping things. The girl let go of his hand and ran to the middle of the chamber. She pointed down, her voice cracked. She's here! The human stepped closer. On the icy ground lay a woman, pale as snow, her chest rising only a little. Her skin cracked with frost, her lips blue. Her body shook with the last stages of hypothermia. The girl knelt beside her, tears dripping onto the ice. Mom, I brought him. He will help. Please stay awake. The human moved quickly, dropping to his knees. He wrapped his thermal blanket around the woman's body. Her pulse was weak, almost gone. He pulled out a heater pack and pressed it against her chest. The ice hissed as steam rose, but then a sound rumbled through the chamber, deep, angry, alive. The walls shook, crystals trembled. The girl's eyes went wide. They know you are here, she whispered. The human froze. Who? He asked. The girl's lips trembled. The guardians of the ice grave. They do not want humans here. The air grew colder. Biting through his suit, the ice creatures in the wall seemed to shift, their frozen eyes glowing faintly. The human reached for his tool, a plasma cutter, his only weapon. The girl grabbed his arm. No, if you fight, they will kill us both. Her small voice shook with terror. Only your fire can save her. You must hurry. The human stared at the alien mother. Her breath was shallow, almost gone. He pressed closer, wrapping his arms around her to share his warmth. The cold stabbed his skin like knives, but he held on. The rumble grew louder. The walls cracked, and from the shadows, figures began to pull free of the ice. The girl looked up, eyes glowing brighter. Her voice filled the chamber. Please, human, save her, before they take her forever. The human's breath caught. He realized the truth. The storm outside was only a warning. The real danger was here, inside the ice grave, and it was awake. Journey through the ice. The human's arms burned with cold. His breath came heavy, his body shaking, but he refused to let go of the alien mother. Her skin was freezing, her pulse too weak. Still, he held her close, sharing every bit of warmth he had. The girl knelt beside them, her glowing eyes full of tears. "Please don't stop," she begged. "She will die if you stop." The human gritted his teeth. He felt the cold creeping into his chest, but then he saw the woman's lips move slightly. Her breath returned in a faint cloud of mist. She was alive, but only barely. A deep cracking sound tore through the chamber. The human looked up. Shadows peeled away from the walls. Tall shapes made of living ice stepped forward. Their bodies glowed faint blue like frozen fire. Their faces were long and sharp, carved from crystal. The guardians of the ice grave. The girl gasped. "They are awake," she whispered. "They will not let us go." The human tightened his grip on the alien mother. He pulled her closer, then looked at the creatures. They moved slowly, each step groaning like a mountain shifting. The air grew colder with every breath they took. One of the guardians raised a claw of ice. Its voice echoed inside the human's mind. "Leave this place, Firebearer. Leave or be frozen forever." The human's heart pounded. Firebearer, what did that mean? He looked at the girl, she shook her head, her voice urgent. "No, you cannot leave. If you leave, she will die and the ice will win." The human swallowed hard. He stood up slowly, keeping the mother wrapped in his blanket. "I'm not leaving her," he said. His voice shook, but his eyes were firm. The guardians hissed, their glowing eyes burning brighter. Cracks spread across the walls. The cave shook like it was alive, angry. The girl grabbed the human's arm. "This way," she cried. "There is another path. Hurry before they close it." She pointed toward a narrow tunnel. Half hidden behind sharp crystals, the human didn't hesitate. He lifted the alien mother onto his back, her weight heavy, her body still shaking. Then he followed the girl, running as the ice thundered around them. The tunnel was narrow and twisting. The human's shoulders scraped against the walls. Frost bit into his skin even through his suit. Behind them, the guardians roared. Their voices echoed like storms trapped in stone. The ground shook under the human's boots. But he kept moving, step after step. The girl ran ahead, her glowing eyes lighting the path. Once the tunnel split into two, the girl froze, unsure which way to go. The human's breath burned in his chest. "Choose," he urged, her hands shook. She closed her eyes, listening, then she pointed left. "This way." I can feel her spirit calling. They turned left. The walls narrowing tighter. Ice spikes hung from the ceiling like teeth. The human ducked low, shielding the mother. His knees scraped the frozen floor, but he didn't stop. The sound of cracking ice followed close behind. The guardians were not far, at last. The tunnel opened into a new chamber. This one glowed with strange light. Blue crystals pulsed like beating hearts. The air was warmer here, almost alive. The human dropped to his knees. Gasping for air, the girl looked around, her eyes wide with fear. "They will come soon," she whispered, "but this place can help her." The human laid the mother gently on the glowing ground. The crystals hummed under her body. The warmth spread slowly into her skin. Her breathing grew stronger. The girl touched one crystal with trembling hands. "They respond to life," she said softly. "But only if the fire inside you is strong enough." The human frowned. "What fire?" he asked. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes serious. "The fire that no alien has, only humans. The fire that can fight the cold if you fail. The guardians will take her and they will take you too." The human's breath caught. He looked at the alien mother, weak but alive, then at the glowing walls, and finally at the shadows gathering at the edge of the chamber. The guardians were coming and time was almost gone. The hidden cave. The chamber glowed with strange light. Blue crystals pulsed like hearts, beating slow and steady. The human laid the alien mother across the floor, her skin pale, her breath shallow. The girl knelt beside her, pressing her small hands against the glowing ground. "Please help her," she whispered to the cave itself. The crystals answered with a soft hum, like the voice of something alive. The human looked around, uneasy. This place was not natural. The walls curved like ribs. The ceiling arched like the inside of a living chest. He felt as if he had stepped inside a giant creature. Every crystal pulse was like blood moving through frozen veins. The cave was breathing slowly, faintly, watching. The girl looked at him with wide eyes. "You must not anger this place," she said softly. "It does not like humans." The human frowned. "Why?" he asked. She lowered her gaze. "Because humans carry fire, and fire is what the cave fears most." Before he could answer, the ground shook. The alien mother groaned. Her body twitching, the crystals flared brighter, their glow crawling up her arms and face. For a moment her eyes opened, cloudy and lost. Then she slipped back into half-conscious sleep. The human leaned closer, his heart pounding. "Stay alive," he whispered. "Don't give up." A low rumble echoed through the chamber. It was not the guardians this time. It was the cave itself, shifting, angry, awake. Sharp icicles fell from the ceiling, shattering on the floor like glass. The girl cried out and pressed closer to her mother. The human raised his light, sweeping it across the chamber. And that was when he saw it. The walls moved. Faces pressed through the ice. Hundreds of them, frozen shapes of men, women, creatures he could not name. All trapped in the crystal, all watching him. Their eyes glowed faintly blue, their mouths open in silent screams. The human's breath froze in his throat. These were not carvings, these were bodies, sealed forever in the cave. The girl's voice trembled. "They were taken," she whispered. "Those who came before." Who tried to steal the cave's warmth. The human's stomach turned. So many lost lives, but then he noticed something strange. Not one of the frozen faces was human. Aliens of all shapes and sizes, but no human at all. The cave groaned again. The crystals around the mother began to dim. The warmth they gave her pulled away. The girl gasped. "It is rejecting her. Rejecting us." The human clenched his fists. "Then it will have to take me instead." He knelt down and pressed both his hands onto the crystal floor. Pain surged through him like fire meeting ice. The cold bit deep into his skin, but then a spark lit under his palms, small at first, then brighter. The crystals reacted, pulsing faster. The girl stared at him, her voice full of awe. "It listens to you. Only you." The frozen faces in the walls twisted. Some snarled, others wept. The cave rumbled, cracks splitting across its ribs of ice. But the human held on. His warmth spread through the floor. Into the alien mother's body, her chest rose higher. Her eyes flickered open again. For the first time she whispered a word. A single breath. "Human." The girl clutched her mother's hand, tears falling. "She knows you saved her," she whispered. But the joy was cut short. The chamber shook harder. Louder, the crystals cracked, light spilling like rivers. The girl's face turned pale. "It is angry. It thinks you will take her away." The human stood, his body trembling from the cold. He pulled the mother into his arms. The walls split, pieces of frozen faces crashing down around him. The guardian's roar echoed through the tunnels again. Closer this time, the girl screamed, "Run, human, before the cave closes forever." The human tightened his grip on the alien mother. He looked once more at the walls full of frozen eyes. Then he turned and ran, the girl at his side, her glowing eyes leading the way behind them. The cave roared like a beast in pain, and the passage began to collapse. The dying mother, the cave shook like thunder. Crystals shattered, spraying shards across the floor. The human shielded the alien mother with his body. Her skin was still cold, her breath weak. She clung faintly to life, but she was slipping. The girl tugged at his arm, her glowing eyes wide with terror. "Please, we must hurry, she cannot last," she cried. The human's boots pounded against the ice as they ran. The tunnel cracked behind them, closing like jaws. The guardians' voices echoed through the stone. "Leave the fire-bearer. Leave her to the grave." The human's chest burned from the cold. His breath came in clouds of white. The alien mother grew heavier in his arms, her body limp, her head rolling against his shoulder. He shouted at her, desperate, "Stay with me." "Don't let go." But she gave no answer. Only shallow breaths. The girl stumbled beside him. Her small feet slipped on the ice. Still she pushed forward, never letting go of his coat. The storm outside howled through cracks in the walls. Snowflakes blew into the tunnel like sharp needles. The air grew colder still, almost unbreathable. At last, they stumbled into another chamber. This one was darker, smaller. The crystals here were broken, their light faint and dying. The human lowered the mother gently onto the ground. Her chest rose once, then fell, barely moving. The girl dropped to her knees beside her. "Mom," she sobbed. "Please wake up. Please." The human pressed his fingers to the woman's neck. Her pulse was fading. He ripped open another heater pack and pushed it against her chest. But the warmth was too weak, her body was shutting down. The human knew the signs of hypothermia. Once the body went silent, there was little chance left. He looked at the girl. Her tears froze before they touched the ground. She lifted her eyes, full of fear. "You are human, you can save her. Can't you?" The human hesitated. He had gear, he had knowledge, but her life was almost gone. Still, he could not stop now. He pulled off his gloves and pressed his bare hands against her skin. The cold stabbed into him like knives, but he held on, forcing every bit of warmth into her. The Guardian's roar shook the chamber again. Ice cracked open on the walls. Two tall figures emerged, their bodies glowing blue. They moved slowly but with purpose, their eyes locked on the human, their voices cut through the air like blades. "She does not belong to you, Firebearer. You cannot keep her warm. She is ours." The human stood between them and the alien mother. His teeth chattered, his skin raw from the cold. But his voice was steady. "You will not take her." "Not while I breathe." The Guardians raised their arms. Jagged claws of ice, the girl screamed. "Don't fight them. They will freeze you." The human clenched his fists. He was shaking, weak, but anger burned inside him. That anger spread like fire through his veins. The Guardians paused. Their glowing eyes dimmed for a moment. They stepped back as if sensing something dangerous. The girl gasped. "They feel it." "The fire inside you." The alien mother stirred, her lips parted, whispering something faint. The human leaned close, her voice cracked like breaking glass. "Warmth." "Don't stop." Her eyes opened only for a second. Then they closed again, her body limp. The human roared. Pulling her against his chest, he poured every drop of strength. Every breath of heat into her, the Guardians hissed, their claws slamming into the floor. Ice spread toward him like snakes of frost. The girl clutched his arm, crying, "Please don't give up, she is still here." "I can feel it." The chamber groaned as if alive. The crystals dimmed and flickered, the Guardians closed in, their shadows falling over the three of them. The alien mother's breath was shallow, almost gone. The human's fire flickered low, his strength nearly spent, but still he held her tight. Because he knew one thing. If he let go now, she would die. The chamber shivered like a beating heart. Cracks split across the walls, running like veins of light. The Guardians stepped closer, their crystal claws dragging sparks against the ice. The human held the alien mother tighter, his body trembling from cold. The girl stood between him and the Guardians, her small frame shaking, but her eyes glowed brighter than before. "Please," she cried, "do not take her." "She is not ready." The Guardians' voices boomed inside the chamber. "She belongs to the grave. No firebearer can change her fate." Their words rattled inside the human's skull like thunder. The human rose to his knees, his body weak, his lips blue, but his eyes burned with defiance. "You will not have her," he said. His voice cracked, but it carried. The Guardians froze for a moment, their glowing eyes narrowed. They had not heard such defiance in ages. The ground heaved, the crystals shattered, spilling blue light like blood. The frozen faces on the walls shifted, mouths opening. A chorus of silent screams filled the air. The girl clutched her ears. The human felt the sound cut through his chest like a blade. The alien mother stirred faintly. Her lips moved against his ear. "Fire. Keep the fire," she whispered. Then her voice fell silent. The human's heart thundered. If she gave up now, nothing would save her. The Guardians raised their arms, their claws glowing brighter, sharp as blades. One swung down toward the human. He rolled aside, the strike shattering the ice floor where he had stood. Shards flew like glass, slicing into his coat. Pain burned his shoulder, but he forced himself back to his feet. He had to protect them no matter what. The girl cried out, her hands pressed against the crystals. "Wake up, cave, wake up, do not take her. Help us instead." The walls pulsed with light. The chamber groaned, and suddenly the whole cave stirred. It was alive, and it was listening. The Guardians turned their heads sharply. The ground rumbled, ice claws rose from the floor like spears. The chamber's ribs twisted, sealing exits. The human realized the cave itself was choosing. Not just the Guardians, the cave was alive. And it wanted something. The girl turned to him, her eyes wide. "It is testing you," she said. "If your fire is strong enough, it will let her live. If not, it will take all of us." The human's chest tightened. How could he fight a cave? But then he remembered the warmth he gave the mother. That spark that pushed back the frost. That was the fire they feared. That was the fire they wanted to test. The human pressed the mother against the glowing floor again. He laid his bare hands over her heart. His body screamed from the cold, but he pushed his heat into her anyway. The crystals pulsed, reacting. The mother's chest rose, faint but stronger. The guardians hissed, stepping back. The girl shouted, "It works!" "Don't stop!" The walls of the chamber twisted, more faces pushed out of the ice. Some angry, some curious, they watched the human. The air filled with whispers in a language he could not understand, but the meaning was clear. The cave itself was awake, and it was judging him. The human gritted his teeth. Pain burned through his arms. His vision blurred, but he refused to stop. He whispered fiercely, "You will not take her." "Not while I live." The crystals flared like fire. The girl's eyes widened. "You are hurting it," she gasped. "You are burning the grave itself." The guardians let out a roar that shook the earth. Their forms cracked, chunks of ice falling from their bodies. They lunged together at the human, but the ground split open between them. A wall of light rose from the crystals. It forced the guardians back. The cave itself was reacting to the human's fire. The girl clutched her mother's hand, tears of hope spilling down her cheeks. "She is still here," she cried. "She is fighting with you." The human's body shivered violently, but he held on. The mother's pulse grew stronger under his hands. The cave howled, alive, furious, and all around them the ice grave awakened. The cave thundered like a storm trapped underground. Light pulsed through the walls as if the whole place had a beating heart. The guardians stumbled back, their ice bodies cracked by the human's fire. But they did not fall. They circled him, their glowing eyes locked on the alien mother. She lay on the ground, breathing faintly, her life caught between two worlds. The girl knelt beside her mother, clutching her hand. Her glowing eyes lifted toward the human. "You cannot stop now, her fire is almost gone," she cried. The human's body shook with exhaustion. His skin burned from frostbite, his breath shallow. Every second he stayed close to the mother. More of his warmth drained away. The guardians raised their arms. Their voices filled the chamber. "You must choose, fire-bearer, give your flame to her, and you will die, or keep your flame, and she will belong to the grave." Their words struck like thunder. Leaving no escape, the human's mind swirled. If he gave everything, he might save her. But then he would be gone. Another body for the cave's walls. If he pulled away, she would die in the frost. The girl would be left alone, the guardians would win. The choice was cruel, sharp as the cold itself. The girl's voice trembled. "Please, save her," she begged. Her tears sparkled like frozen stars. She was just a child, lost in this nightmare. The human's heart tightened. He saw in her the same helplessness of children he had once known back on Earth. Children who needed someone to stand for them. Someone who would not look away. He dropped to his knees. His hands pressed once more to the mother's chest. The cold stabbed into him like spears of ice. Pain surged through every nerve, but he held on. His warmth poured into her like fire into frozen wood. Her chest rose weakly, then again stronger this time. The guardians roared, their bodies split wider, blue light spilling like blood from cracks. They raised their claws to strike, but the ground beneath them flared bright. The crystals answered the human's fire. A wave of heat rippled across the floor. Forcing the guardians back, the cave screamed. The walls shook violently. Shards raining down, faces in the ice twisted, some crying out, some watching silently. The girl shouted above the chaos. "It feels your choice. It knows you give without fear." Her voice carried hope, but the human could barely hear. His vision blurred, his strength almost gone. The mother's eyes opened faintly. Her lips moved, whispering a word. "Stay," she said, barely audible. The human leaned closer. "Fight. Don't leave her," he whispered fiercely. His fire flared again, burning brighter even as it consumed him. The guardians tried once more. They lunged together, their claws aiming for his chest. The girl screamed, but just before they struck, the crystals around the human blazed like a star. The guardians froze mid-motion, their bodies cracking apart. The cave howled in rage. It could not decide if it wanted to destroy him or kneel before him. The girl ran to his side, holding his arm. Her voice shook but carried strength. "You are more than human here." "You are fire itself," the human wanted to answer. But his throat was dry, his body trembled. His warmth fading too fast, he felt darkness press at the edges of his mind. But he refused to fall, not yet. The mother gasped suddenly. Her chest rose higher, her pulse steadier. Color returned to her skin, faint but real. The girl cried out with joy, hugging her mother tightly. She lives, she sobbed. But the human's body collapsed forward. His hand slipped from the crystal floor. His fire dimming, the cave fell silent. The guardian stepped back, watching. The girl looked up in panic. Don't take him, she shouted at the glowing walls. Don't you dare take him, he gave everything. The walls pulsed with light. The faces inside the ice stared at the human. And for the first time, the cave seemed unsure. The choice had been made, but the cost was still unknown. The alien secret. The chamber was quiet after the storm. The walls no longer shook, the guardians no longer roared. Only the sound of shallow breaths filled the air. The alien mother breathed weakly. But she lived. The human lay beside her, his body shaking, his warmth nearly gone. The girl held his arm tightly, her glowing eyes full of tears. Please stay awake, she whispered. You cannot leave us now. The human tried to speak, but his lips were cracked and blue. Only a faint breath escaped. Still, he forced his eyes open, looking at her. The girl's face glowed faintly in the dim crystal light, her cheeks wet with tears that froze as they fell. The guardians stood at the edge of the chamber, silent now, their glowing eyes fixed on the human. They did not move to strike, they only watched, as if waiting for something, as if even they did not understand what had happened. The girl looked around, her small hands trembling. Then she turned back to the human. There is something you must know, she said softly. Her voice shook, not from fear but from truth too heavy to carry alone. My people, we feared humans always. The human blinked slowly, confused, his voice a whisper. Feared? Why? The girl lowered her head. Because you are different, we call you fire bearers. No other race carries what you carry. We live in cold, we die in cold, but you burn inside. She touched her chest with a trembling hand. Our kind has no flame, no warmth beyond what the ice allows. But you humans fight the cold, you push it away. Your fire makes you dangerous, and it makes you sacred. The human's heart pounded weakly. He thought of Earth, of nights spent in snow, of fires lit in the dark to keep families alive. Maybe what she said was true. Maybe humans carried something more than just body heat. Maybe it was the will to survive against impossible odds, the will no frost could crush. The girl's eyes lifted to the guardians. They guard this place because they fear your fire, but they also test it. They believe no one can endure the grave without losing everything. Yet you did. You gave your warmth when you should have saved yourself, and the cave could not take it from you. The guardians let out a low rumble, their crystal forms cracked but glowing. They spoke together, their voices heavy like stone. The fire-bearer is chosen. The grave has judged. The flame is not a curse. It is a gift, the human coughed, pain tearing through his chest. He could barely lift his head. Gift. Or curse, he whispered. The girl held his hand tightly. To us it is hope, she said firmly. You saved her when no one else could. That is why I called for a human. No alien could have done it. Only you, the alien mother stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. She looked at the human, her lips trembling. You burn for me, she whispered. Her voice soft as the wind. He tried to answer, but no words came. His strength was fading too fast. The girl leaned close to him. Desperate, you cannot leave now. Not after everything, please, stay with us. Fire-bearer. Her voice echoed in the chamber. The crystals around them pulsed, answering her plea. The guardians bowed their heads slowly. Their claws lowered, their voices softer. The grave accepts, the fire-bearer lives. The mother lives. The human's vision blurred. The last thing he saw was the girl's glowing eyes filled with hope. The last thing he heard was her whisper. You are not just human. You are the fire that even the ice cannot kill, and then the darkness took him.